Peacemaker episode 3 is out and it was a good one. Today we are asking the question, is the grass greener on the other side? I think Chris will give us that answer. So stay tuned after the intro and we'll get after it.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Collie Green TV, your number one shop for all things nerdy. I am your host, King, and this is the greatest co-host in the history of co-hosting, JC3. And today we are talking about Peacemaker episode 3. And before we get started, we'd like to always remind you guys to please like, comment, and subscribe. Give us a follow. Check out what we're doing and join the conversation. We'd love to see what you guys think, and we'd love to hear you guys in the comments. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and join us on the party. Also, another little housekeeping note, all of the episodes of Peacemaker will be mature viewing only. So keep the children out of the room for this one. Let's get some things started. And I just want to let you guys know something very serious that me and Jay wanted to tell you. And we really wanted to let you know that Titties is still alive. And we're happy to know that Titties is still here. So just in case you were worried, before we get the episode out, let's just acknowledge Titties is okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about our first impressions of the actual episode number 3. Jay, kick us off with your first impressions of this episode.
Well, to piggyback off you, not only are titties okay, but we actually see titties in this episode. So that's a nice little wraparound. People just love Peacemaker, man, but this episode was great. I thought it was very funny. We get more development on Chris, and we just get to live more in this new universe. I believe it's Earth 2 that James Gunn's called it. And Chris, he references this as the best dimension ever. And for him it is, but I'm kind of very curious to see if it truly is the best dimension ever, or if there's going to be some wild stuff going on that he doesn't know about. I think it's the latter. But we get great character development in this episode. We start off with a 3-year time jump with Rick Flag Jr. and we find out that he was with Amelia during that time, right before he was going to go to Corte Maltese for that mission in the second Suicide Squad movie, which also he made a reference to the Enchantress from the very first Suicide Squad movie in 2016. So I think it's pretty cool that James Gunn is referencing both those movies and just picking what he wants to be in his universe. But yeah, we get some great character development there. We get some great action scenes at the end of this episode. I swear Peacemaker goes from just a happy guy that's glad to be in this new universe. He turns into the Terminator, man. Like it was really bloody, really fun. I very much enjoyed it. We got some new characters in this episode too that I will be seeing throughout the season, and we'll be seeing the development of that. But boy, man, like if I were Peacemaker, I would probably want to stay in this universe too, because he's adored by everybody, man. And seeing his reaction to saving the day at the end, that was amazing. Just seeing how happy he was. But I was impressed with this episode, man. What about you?
So far, I got to say, it's probably my favorite so far. It was, like you mentioned, it was just kind of fun. A whole lot of craziness didn't happen besides what you explained. The show opening up and Hardcore is presumably in a relationship or either at least sleeping with Rick Flag Jr. And right before Rick Flag Jr. actually dies, which sets up the first season of Peacemaker, that the whole time she's been hanging out with Peacemaker, she's known that, or she's known herself that she was in a relationship with Rick Flag and he just killed him. So it's got to be very complicated relationship feelings, and then we're popped back into the new world. I love kind of the world building that they did of showing us what, how Peacemaker is seen as a celebrity in this kind of world, versus kind of he's a misfit in our world in Earth 1. He's not exactly a superhero, but he's beloved on Earth 2. He wakes up drunk in a stupor, forgot that he even was in Earth 2, talking to his brother, getting dressed to go over to Argus, which was really cool. And then for him to run into Rick Flag Jr., but Rick Flag Jr. being very timid, still wearing yellow, kept the yellow fit, but still very timid and a different character and kind of playing it for laughs between Peacemaker, Rick Flag, and Hardcore. And it was a really fun episode. Like you said, there was a nice little fight scene towards the end where Peacemaker had to go in and kind of save the day of this heist that was happening, and he didn't hold back. He beat the shit out of everybody. It was pretty cool. Like you wanted to see him like grab a weapon or something, but nah, man, it was all hands. So I really enjoyed this third episode. I got to say, so far, it's probably my favorite. Might not be at the end, but so far, I like this one the best. Let me ask you another question. What was your, or what do you think of Earth 2? Its design, what it looks like, the way James Gunn shot it, or kind of the idea of what they're doing. What's your thought on Earth 2?
Honestly, the way they did Earth 2 in this episode, it kind of gave me like reminders of like the Fantastic Four movie. Just based off of not necessarily the look. I mean, it definitely looked a bit more like old timey on Earth 2. But I would say just also the reactions of all the people who were, like looking at Peacemaker, adoring Peacemaker, just loving himself as an individual, himself as a hero, and to the point of kids, literally crying over this guy. Uh, Very awkward cry too, might I add. And I'm glad that James Gunn held on that for a minute because that kid was ugly crying. It was terrible. But I really did like the design of it, like just because it's different it feels more comic booky in a way, I want to say, just when you are in a setting like that, but also when all these people are just like they are like just in awe of just this one person who's also a part of a big superhero family. So I very much enjoyed it. It was also cool to again, like you said, see an alternate version of Rick Flag. Definitely didn't know that Rick Flag Jr. was going to be this funny. It was hilarious seeing him like just fumble and run into trash cans, and just seeing a different, comedic beat to him. Like I didn't know the guy from All for Mankind, which is an Apple TV show, which is pretty good. He's very serious in that role, and seeing him, just loosen up a bit and have fun, it was actually very nice. But honestly, I would have to ask you: did you have any favorite scenes from this episode?
Yeah. I probably there was so many funny kind of random moments. I love the kind of montage of him getting dressed and realizing that, the Peacemaker in Earth 2 wears way tighter pants than he does, and his whole closet is Versace, which was kind of dope. You know what I mean? Kind of a swaggy dude.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
loved
No,
Peacemaker's excitement of the motorcycle. You know what I mean? He didn't have a motorcycle in his universe, and it was the kind of back and forth between his brother kind of being like, "What do you don't know these things?" And he's like, "Well, tell me where Argus is." Like if we played it for a joke, like if I was asking you a question and you were to tell me where Argus was, this roundabout way of him not knowing where things are in this universe. I probably would say those are some of my favorite parts. I wanted to piggyback on something you said though. This universe seemed Earth 2 seemed a little bit off, and I couldn't really put my finger on it. Of course, it's kind of like the grass is greener, so it seems like everything in that universe is like shinier, more exciting. Of course, Peacemaker's brother Keith is still alive. His father is still alive. They seem to have a great relationship. Um, and they have like what do they call themselves, the terrific trio, so they have this kind of group name like as if they're the Justice League or something. That was kind of dope to see, but it still seems like something's eerie where maybe, and this is just theory that I've seen on the internet, but I'm kind of leaning towards it. Maybe this universe, it's not just his dad that's racist, it's the whole family that's racist. And something that Ryan Airy pointed out over at Screen Crush was that something I didn't notice as I was watching, and I gotta ask you if you noticed this. Did you notice that every person in that town, there was no black people on Earth 2? Not one.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, I
Yeah,
noticed.
I didn't notice it
Yeah.
at all. I didn't notice that there was not one black person in that city as they were moving around. So I think there's definitely something under the level going on in that city that we don't know about yet. And I venture to say that Chris is gonna go back and try to figure that out. What did you think about the kind of eeriness of Earth 2? Or did anything kind of stand out to you that was odd when you kind of went to Earth 2?
Other than what you just pointed out of there being no black people like in this town, like it kind of made me feel like I feel like I know where they're going with this, and if it is where they're going with it, then it's gonna be a very fun topic to discuss on this channel with us being, you know, two black men. Uh, but honestly, like there were times it just seemed too perfect, too good. And usually when things seem too good to be true, we all know they usually are, especially in a superhero setting like this. So honestly, I'm waiting for the needle to drop, and I think it'll probably happen within these next couple episodes that we get. Of course, after episode 4, but I also heard that after a lot of the people that review these episodes, just like us, but we didn't get this, but they only got up to episode 5, and then James Gunn didn't want them to see anything else. So I'm guessing around those episodes is when we're gonna know what's really going on, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I also saw that it seemed like after 4, so 5, 6, and all the way to the end is supposed to be where most of the like really exciting set pieces and cameos and things are going to happen and kind of tell us where we're at in the story, because at the moment we still don't necessarily have your quintessential story of good guys and bad guys. We're still kind of venturing out into Chris's life and fallout from last season, and more of an emotional story, which with each one of the characters. So I think my biggest question for both of us is, but I'll ask you first, is where do we think this story is going? Of course, just a note for everyone who's watching: we recorded this very late, so we have seen episode 4. And we will review that in the next couple days. But outside of episode 4, where do you think this story is going with this alternative Earth and where things are perfect?
Well, I think that I think we'll get a reveal that this is like maybe a white supremacist town or world, and like or universe, and it's gonna be, knowing James Gunn. I mean, I'm excited to see what that could look like when the curtains, when the curtains away, and we finally see what's really going on, because it's probably gonna be some raunchy, like heavy TMA type shit. So definitely looking forward to that. Chris's brother, Keith, who's also the hero, Captain Triumph, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, I'm yes, I'm very curious to see where that relationship goes, because right now it's great. Like Keith's just, I mean, Chris is glad to have his brother Keith back, and he's just trying to hold up appearances, but we all know that that's not going to work for very long. And I'm very curious. I want to know what happens when Keith realizes that's not his brother, and perhaps finds out that his brother died by Arcris's hands, and see where that goes. Also, if like I wonder if Amelia and Chris will ever really get together, especially with the fact that Chris is responsible for killing the last dude that she really loved. So that's going to make things even more complicated, on top of the fact that Rick Flag Sr. is after our guy. He wants revenge, and I'm kind of curious to see what happens when he gets it. Um, that whole storyline is that to me, that's the best storyline. That's the best plot of this whole thing, is seeing what happens when Rick Flag Sr. catches up to Peacemaker, and perhaps Peacemaker gets his comeuppance for killing his son. Uh, Other than that, it's nice to see more of the one band referenced in the Superman and Creature Commandos
Yeah.
show. Yeah. Do you know what they were? Do you know the name? It's
I forgot the name off the top of my head, but we keep seeing the posters and stuff in
yeah,
the show. It was Superman's favorite team.
like Mighty Crab
Or
Joys, I think,
the
or something
Mighty
like that. Mighty
Crabjoys
Crab.
is the band. They're a punk band.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice to see references in that, and I want to see more. That's the great part of this universe, like just seeing how certain things connect. I think that this story is going to lead into mayhem and chaos the only way that Peacemaker and James Gunn know how to do it. What about you?
I kind of wholeheartedly agree with you. I think that what we're going to find is that this universe has something eerie. And I think instead of the father just being the racist, I think he probably, like most families in the real world, would have taught his children that behavior. And I think our Chris is going to be upset to realize that his brother Keith is probably a lot like his dad. One example we got of that is when Peacemaker was, beating up all the guys. They're the flag smasher or something like that. I want to say that's Marvel, but it's something in there. Um,
So,
when that happened, his brother Keith flew in and hit that helicopter and let it fall. He didn't save it. It wasn't really like superhero activity.
yeah, actually, that's right. Yeah, didn't think about
S-
that.
Right. So I think Peacemaker is going to realize that Keith and his father are kind of bad and they're terrible people. And they could be full out white supremacists that created this, neighborhood or country or place where they felt secure in just being their own people. And that is very possible because it just everything's leaning kind of towards that. And I think that's where our Peacemaker is going to get dismayed and kind of realize that, like, yeah, man, our world sucks and it's complicated and shitty things happen, but everybody could be there. You know what I mean? He could chill with Adebayo and, all of his friends. So I think he's really going to have to contend with that. And I do think at some point, um, Keith and his father are going to find out that their peacemaker is dead and this Chris is not their Chris. And like you said, I'm interested to see what the fallout of that is. And as we know, James Gunn said the newest Superman film that's going to come out is going to be directly connected with this. So I'm curious to see what kind of cameos we get towards the end. Also rumored that Blue Beetle is going to be in there. So I think it's about time that they start ratcheting things up, and I'm curious to kind of where it's going to go. But guys, we're gonna run out of time today. So what we'd like to do is let's get our final thoughts, and then we'll see you guys on the next one. Jay, hit us with your final thoughts on Peacemaker episode 3.
Man, I tell you, this was another great episode by James Gunn. Keeps you locked in from start to finish. Again, we get more story-driven moments. We get more character development. We care more about Chris and his situation on this other Earth, and we also see different perspectives from other characters on where they're at currently and why they feel the way they feel in this current situation that they're in regarding Amelia and her trying to still remain relevant in her eyes with the government, still trying to get her position back, get her spot back. Little shout out also to Economos and Adrian Chase, also known as Vigilante. We didn't talk about them much in this episode, but well, I tell you, there's some great comedic relief, especially Vigilante, and Chris will probably understand that the grass is not like not maybe not as green on the other side, but I mean, come on, like if you had the choice to hang out with your brother or Vigilante, what would you do? I know what I would do. So, but yeah, like I really enjoyed this episode. Very funny, very bloody. Also, the best line of the whole show was when when Cena, I almost said John Cena, Chris, axed one of the Sons of Liberty directly in the head, and best line is, "Wait, what happened?" I died laughing so much. This is definitely, like you said, like this is my favorite episode so far of the season. Definitely the funniest. And again, can't wait to see what happens next, man. What are your final thoughts?
My final thought is now that you said it, I remember that their name is the Sons of Liberties and not Marvel's Flag Smashers. So, I mean, you just go ahead and destroy me in the comments. I get it. I get it. I fucked up, but
Don't do that.
all
Leave him
engagement is
alone.
good engagement. Come and get me. Um, I really enjoyed this episode. So far, it's got to be my favorite episode. I think James Gunn really knows how to do a TV show and how to really tell a good story. I mean, it's got a lot of characters and a lot of different things, but it's heartwarming. It's kind of creepy. It's really funny. It's really fun and action heavy and gory. There's a way more nudity than you would expect. I mean, it's an all around good show, and I'm glad that James Gunn's doing it. We are going to come back here pretty soon, probably tomorrow or the next day after dropping this episode, and drop episode 4 so that we are all caught up. And like you said, Economos and Vigilante have some really funny scenes. If you didn't get a chance to check out the post credit scene on this episode, it's hilarious. But man, we're gonna get to talk about them a lot more in the next episode because they are really killing it. There's some really good scenes where they're just chewing up that scenery. But for today, we're ending it on episode 3. We really appreciate you guys always watching the videos, commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing to your friends, or just kind of giving us your thoughts. We really appreciate the engagement with us. We're blessed to have you guys, and we're happy to do it. We just wanted to tell you thank you. Keep watching, and we'll see you on the next one. And we're gonna let Jay do his classic outro.
Guys, another great episode. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support as always. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. And also remember, it's always good to have a friend who's willing to wash and dry your pants when you get too fucked up. Stay nerdy, my friends.